Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here with me tonight on Radiant Health with Suzanne. I am Suzanne Roth-Paul. I'm a certified primal health coach, and I am the author of a couple of ebooks. I have a free guide, and I also have a deeper dive ebook that talks about the importance of products that we eat primarily. So it's what's in your kitchen. We call it poisons in the pantry for a reason. So I'm very passionate about keeping the toxins out of your body and harmful ingredients, and as well as what you put in and on your body, from toothpaste to shampoo that you use on your hair to makeup that you use. We really do want to keep our bodies pristine and toxin free as much as possible because we get so much from our environment already. And so I really do emphasize that, and that's what my focus is toxic burden loads are the root cause of chronic illnesses. And so I do emphasize when I work with people, when I educate people, that we really do need to be mindful about what we put in and on our bodies. Now, I have a special guest today, Jane Schafer, and she's a colleague of mine, and I'll bring her on in just a minute. We're going to be talking about her story with the incredible wearable technology company called Lifewave that my podcasts are all about. And I've been doing these podcasts for about a little over, well, it's actually a year and a half now. And I have a lot of videos with testimonials and interviews of folks that have been using the product for a long time. And again, Jane is one of my team members, so she's going to talk to us today about her experiences. But it's very important to know that, you can go back and you can learn about all the different products. We're not going to be talking about a specific product today. We might bring up the X39. I just want to mention this is our signature patch, our signature product that we want everybody using, because it is actually a product that is based on phototherapy, but it literally is helping support your stem cells through a copper peptide that it activates. And so it's non-transdermal, nothing goes in or on the body. It's a little wearable patch. It looks like this with an adhesive back. You can put it on different points in the body, from pain points to meridian or acupuncture points, for all kinds of organ benefits and etc. And so we're going to be just in discussion about those things here in just a second. But I did want to mention, because I am a product girl and I really do promote things that really are working well, hot off the press is a safe, I don't even know affordability. It'll be affordable, but product price right now. I have a friend, and she's also a wellness colleague, that just is releasing her, an equivalent or a competitor of the nasty Roundup glyphosate that so many people are hearing about now, that glyphosate is a herbicide, pesticide that's getting into all of our foods. Well, she's just come up with, her company has come out with a competitor. It's going to be out now, any day now, in terms of being able to use it, but it is a safe, organic. They're working on the organic part, but it's a safe product to use as a weed killer. So you heard it here first. If you know anybody that is a gardener, you're a gardener, you're using it for weed killing and pesticide killing that's around. It is primarily for weeds, but it's safe. And I want to put the information in the bio here and then in the show notes. And so that if you have any questions you want to ask more, certainly do that. And we're just also excited about that we can hopefully get the Bayer Monsanto company off the radar. We need that company to go out of business. And a lot of us are doing a good job about sharing the dangers and harmfulness of glyphosate. And it is one of the ingredients I talk about that's in all of our, that is causing so much trouble in our health food industry, because it's in the farmland, it's in all of our produce. The animals are eating the grains that are being sprayed with this stuff. So we're really getting inundated with it, especially in our water. So anyway, just wanted to mention that, and you can always reach out to me as well if you want to know more. So on to my guest, Jane Schafer is going to be coming on here. And what is so great about Jane is that a lot of things. She's adorable, and she's really a big part of our team. And with this Lifewave team, she's, an educator. I like that about the two of us. We love to educate, share information, and help. And we have a Q&A on one of our Telegram apps as a team that we can go in and people can ask questions about how to patch. And she's exceptional. I call her another patch expert. And I really enjoy getting information from her. She shares a lot. She's a product gal too for Lifewave. She shares all the latest and greatest that David Schmidt's bringing out. And she personally knows David too, which I think is wonderful. And she gets him on our team conversation sometimes where he comes and does Q&A for us. So Jane, we love you for that. So why don't you come on up and let's get you started. Thank you for being here. So nice to see you.
Well, thank you, Suzanne, for having me. It's been a while, and I know that you were on my show before, and we always had fun. But thank you so much. And by the way, thank you for sharing that amazing weed killer product because I'm pulling them by hands, and they're not fun.
No, I know. And if you've got big areas, it's called Firehawk. What does she call it? Firehawk bioherbicide. And my very dear friend has been really pushing hard to get this across the United States and into Mexico because we get a lot of our food from Mexico. And evidently the Mexican government is really fed up with Bayer Monsanto and the glyphosate. So I hope she does well. She's worked hard and she's earned this. So yeah, I'll put it in the show notes and they'll be there when it's posted on the YouTube channel. And you can reach out to her or reach out to me. But it's amazing. I have it in my garden. I've used it. It works.
Okay, good, good, good.
Okay. Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for having me. So my name is Jane, like Suzanne introduced me, and I've been with Lifewave now, God, since 2018. I started out as a product user first, basically started out, getting the product from my son. And the one that sponsored me is Julian, which became a dear friend of mine, just like Nikki. And everybody in the community, basically, we're not just a brand partner or doing business together. We become big family. And that's what I like about our community and the Lifewave community that we not just doing a business. We learn from each other, we hang out, we talk, and we have fun doing this. So getting back to that, Tyler was a collegiate golf person and at that time 17 years old, and playing golf is a lot of wear and tear on the back, and he needed to play a lot of golf, consecutive golf that one summer so he can get noticed and pick up by colleges, and that was our goal. So we were out and about playing golf all the time, and the back problem occurred when he was playing 13 rounds of golf in 11 days. And if anyone know golf or even don't know golf, it's like, well, how do you play 13 rounds of golf in 11 days? Well, you play 2 rounds in one day on some of those days.
Wow.
So this mom was driving the kiddo everywhere, and then at the end of the day, of those round when he was going to China, his back hurt.
Whoa. Oh, wow.
And we like, back then I didn't know anything better. All I knew was I came from orthopedic background. It's like, okay, here's Tylenol and take it with you. And if it still hurt, pop another one because at that we couldn't do it. There was no other option. When you don't have an options, you have to do whatever you need to do. I didn't know about Lifeway, but I didn't know anything about holistic. I'm just like popping pill.
Yeah.
That's what I knew. But I did also know that popping pill was gonna have a side effect badly because of what I learned from my husband, which is another story. And then when I met Julian, she was around almost Christmas time, and she gifted me with carnosine. That was the first patch. He said,
Mm.
try this on him. And you know what carnosine does? You talk about it on your show before,
Yeah.
and it happened to work on his back, and we never looked back from that point. And then my mom got hurt, and Julie and Nikki and helped us with that, and getting her better with no pain. And that was the end of the story. I started sharing with people. It's not really doing the business yet because I was busy with everything else that's going on in my life.
Hmm.
um, then Nikki and Julian go, well, you know what? You have the website. How we got in back then was a little different than we now because we didn't have preferred customer back then.
Okay.
So we got in as a brand partner account, and you have a website. It's like, why don't you just share your website with other people? And I did, and just because of the community itself, I started to go to the meeting just to meet up with people, learn more about how to patch, not so much about a business. And I fell in love with the community. I fell in love with the way our team led us, and we were lucky. We were small then, and plus David was locally in San Diego,
Mm.
and Nikki had to organize a field trip to go down to San Diego, and I took Tyler with me to go there. I think it was like about 20 people or
Mhm.
less. And that was the time that it's go, you know, this is it. This is the company that I want to know more. I want to learn about everything. And then I start learning as I go. And, when I tell people, learn as you go, just jump in, start using the product and just hook on to somebody, your sponsor usually, and just learn from them. And they will train you and teach you about everything that you need to know. And you kind of keep going at it. And I really didn't do any much of anything other than share the product with close friends and family until the pandemic hit. And then that's when the turning point. And and then we start doing Zoom, Friday Live, and everything else, and everything just migrate to Zoom. My business is slowing down because of the pandemic, and I said this is fun, and so realistically, really didn't do the business until probably late, not probably 2020, and thank goodness for our leader to kind of push us along the way. It's like you can do this, you can do this, and teaching us the benefits and the holistic world and learning from you from how all this food. It's like collective community to learn about this wellness journey, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And boy, you to unpack a lot there that you just said about the community and about the fact that, our fearless leader, Nikki Chen, I'm sure that's who you're referring to, and Julian, who we miss dearly. I just love
Right.
her. And but you didn't share with me, I want to ask a few things, but you didn't share how you met Julian. How did she come into your life?
Networking.
Uh,
A friend of mine, we actually was doing Christmas party, one of the chamber,
uh,
and my friend said, "Hey, do you have extra seats still? Is it still open?" Because I just met this amazing lady, which I think you'll love because she loves shoes, and I love shoes and spike heels and stiletto and everything else. We just loved shoes. I said, sure, bring it over. And then we start chit chatting and we start exchanging shoes information and pictures of shoes, and we just kind of clicked from there. And we were friend, networking friend. We kind of hang out before business ever come about. I mean, this is months before we even talk about patches.
wow, that's impressive from Julian, who was, I
I
guess
know
those
it
were the,
you talk about the patches, just not for me at that point.
yeah, yeah.
I was just busy with my business and everything else. But
Hmm.
she's kind of dropping seed here and there, and it's timing was everything. Timing was everything. I was ready and ready to receive the information about a product again because I came from orthopedic. You know,
Yes, yes. Well, when you had pain, you went to an orthopedic doctor.
yeah, exactly.
Um, yeah, and that's what they did. It was either surgery or medication or cortisone shots, Jane. I had the cortisone shots. I had a torn rotator cuff, and that's when I realized it was cortisone shots or surgery.
Right.
So that's what is so amazing about this product. I think back on all the damage I did to myself in the years past. It's like, where was this product when I was suffering so? And it's a 25 year, well, now it's over 20, 21 years now that it didn't show up in my life until later. But that's a great story about Julian. And I just wanted to mention that it would be fun with you sometime. Oh, I should have both of you guys on and we should do the shoe thing again. Y'all did a shoe interview way back when, or a conversation. It was back when you were doing maybe on your Friday shows.
Yeah.
And I thought that was absolutely hilarious. And it was how to wear stilettos and keep your butt, from hurting, your thighs from hurting, your heels from hurting, your feet from hurting, and by patching. And it really does work. I've never forgotten putting those patches on the heel of my foot or the under your feet. Energy patches are really good for that. Ice wave, obviously carnosine, which is muscular and tendons and all of that. And I, playing that back a little bit to how we can use the patches for those kinds of emergencies. Who would have thought, there was a patching protocol for wearing high heel shoes?
Oh,
What do
most
you know?
definitely. And when I go to conference, I remember when we went back to Florida, the
Uh-huh.
first time after the pandemic, I had this 5 inches stiletto, and that hotel was from the hotel room to the convention room was I think gravel stone. I had
Uh-huh.
it wasn't so much pain. It wasn't a pain because I patch. I
Yeah.
made sure that my feet were gonna last all day long with those heels. It was more of that this gravel stone that my heel just kept getting in between. So I had to hold on to Erica to walk. And once I get inside, then everything was sweet. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah. Oh, the pain we endure for beauty,
oh
right? And
yeah, of
for, but
course.
it is kind of funny because I do remember that I did catch you and Julie, and it was really fun. So, on that note too, with your son, what was interesting, because my son is now a golfer and he'll end up with his shoulder hurting a little bit. And of course, he won't wear the patches, he's still very resistant. But the thing with your son, was it lower back pain or was it hip and it's lower? So it was all the swinging and that kind of, okay. And so you were using carnosine for him. Not at that point, X39 hadn't existed yet. And we talked a little bit about, I mentioned X39. This is our signature patch that is really amazing for pain as well. And I do like to mention that, 50% of the people that I work with, this patch is really good for pain, and the other 50%, it just doesn't do it for them. And so we've learned that because it's going inside to do an inside job. So say that you are suffering from a back injury or something, you may have other things going on with an organ. You may have things going on emotionally. You may have some other things going on that the body needs to address, that the patch needs to address first. So we now introduce the Eon patch to do that in combination because so many people, Eon is our other signature patch that was the go-to patch before X39 was introduced in 2019, I think, 2019, 2020. I thought it was 2020, but I think it was 2019.
It was bringing back to that. It was like actually around July, September, and to 2020, 2018 when David actually came out with X39. At that time, he like all this product, he always named it X first,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And then so he came out with X39 and he talked about it briefly, but he wouldn't say all the details. So if anyone has that original presentation that he did back in 2018, that
Wow.
was the first presentation he did for us. And at that time, during that year, none of us can buy X39. You have to win it. So you got to enroll people, and then able to kind of win two sleeve, one sleeve, whatever it is. And trust me, I think everybody was shooting for that product. I got a few sleeves stacked up by the end of the year by the time they launched it in January.
Okay.
So when
So it was 2019?
2018, launching was 2009.
2019. Yeah, yeah. And I only joined Lifewave in 2020, at the end of 2020. And I remember not really knowing what to do with the patches. Somebody enrolled me and then she didn't follow through at all. So I didn't even know what I was doing. But like you with your son and your mother, my sister, Brenda, who y'all all know, and my father, who just passed away. I miss him. Of course, I miss him in many ways, but he's no longer part of the Lifeway family with me. And they were seeing results right away. So that's when I knew that we were onto something. And then John Chang, who's also one of he's my team. He's the one who brought me in. He actually said that. He asked me about 6 months in if I've noticed anything wearing the X39, and I said, not really. I had so many things I was dealing with. And he said, well, how's your hair? And so my hair, I never ever wore my hair this long. Not since I was like a young girl. And ever since the COVID situation and LifeWave and the X39, my hair is so much healthier and it doesn't drive me crazy like it did. And so I'm wearing my hair longer than I ever did thanks to the X39. It really does an amazing job for hair. I just wish more people would recognize that and use it for that alone because so many people lose their hair and such. So okay. So that's how your son had the back thing. Then what happened with your mom? Did
Well,
she?
my mom had a it was kind of progressive. She had pneumonia. That's before the patches, and then when she recovered from that, she came home and she got weak, and she stood up, and she was, I think, barely diagnosed with Parkinson
Oh,
at that
okay.
time.
Uh-huh.
She stood up, and we weren't around her, and she crossed her feet and fell over and broke her shoulder and broke her tibia.
Oh
So
boy.
she had surgery with that, and because she's so tiny anyway, and she doesn't really take any pain meds. The surgery rehab came home, and she was in a lot of pain still.
Hmm.
And that's when I asked Julian and sort of Nikki kind of help. It's like, okay, what all do I need for mom? Because every time she take pain meds, she turned all red and flush and everything else. Uh,
Wow. That was a good sign that she didn't need to be taking those. Yeah.
no, but when you're in pain, you don't know anything else. That's the only resource you have. Then you just kind of listen to the doctor. I mean, we are programmed with that. Just like when you talk about cortisone shot. I work for orthopedic, not to get sidetracked, but I want to say this because
Yeah.
this into my head for a long time. When he gave cortisone shot to his patient, he said, "I will get you on the surgery table one of this day." Because he knows that those shot won't work and won't last.
It,
And
yeah. And it
yeah,
literally damages the tissue. I
right.
learned that after a while, it definitely damages the tissue. So if you have to do it one time to get you through it, but then after that, you've got to find alternatives. And you bring up a very good point about that's all they know. And if you go into some of these doctors' offices today, you could probably even go back to an orthopedic doctor. They won't really listen to you because they are programmed for surgery and that's their job. And same thing with my shoulder. I used a program that had to deal with aligning my hips and my whole lower body so that my shoulders were better in alignment, which would prevent injury long term. And so thankfully, I was savvy enough to know that the cortisol shots were dangerous. I am a product of abusing pain medication too, up until I learned in my late 40s that it wrecked my gut. So many people with leaky gut syndrome and all these allergies, they're saying it's all because of medications, a lot of it, and toxic burden loads, as you know, which I talk about. So you get things into your gut, it can't manage all that pain naturally anymore, and so we're pumping in, the medications. So yeah, I did a fair amount of that myself, Jane, because we didn't know when we were in such pain, and I'm so grateful for the youngsters out there today that are using the patches now and don't have to resort to that. And it's such an amazing gift that David Schmidt, the founder, had the foresight to create products that today we need even more than ever. But back then it wasn't so rampant. You think about 20 years ago when Ice Wave energy patches were created, they were still like on the early stages. Not everybody was in pain. Usually it was somebody old. Except for me, when I was in my 20s, I was a chronic pain girl because I was such a mess from my gut from other issues that I had. So yeah, no, it's pretty powerful. I'm so grateful that I ended up getting introduced to this patch at a time in my life where I was still youthful enough and vital enough to get some reversing of the age, protocols that we all want. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm so thankful to David for basically giving the great quality of life for my mom. She didn't
yeah.
have pain meds, and
And did it help? How did it really? She had the surgery, and then you used it for post-surgery care.
correct, because it broke, so she needed a
Yeah.
pin. And we found out later that she was in so much pain. It's not because so much, it is because the surgery did not go right. The pin was not aligning correctly. So we had to go back to orthopedic surgeon and said, after the MRI and X-ray, you kind of recheck, and they said, "Oh yeah, this is not aligning. So we have our option is to break it and redo it." And we go, "No, we're not doing that. She's 84, so we
Yeah.
can control everything with the pouches, and she might not be able to walk right, but she's not in pain and she's fine. And,
Ah,
her dementia kind of disappeared a little bit. So all that thing was all good. I mean, she has she looks great. I mean, Nikki saw her a few times and she looks amazing.
ah.
I
I
mean, her
bet-
hair even turned darker than mine. It's like, I was
How did
like,
you
dye
do
my
it?
hair. It's like, and I looked down taking picture with her and she's like, Mom, your hair is dark. What is going on here? I mean, just like I had more white hair than she did at one time. It was,
That's so cute. Well, I mean, a lot of us have talked on my show here about the gift that the patches have done for our families. And, being able to have like a parent that you love and adore, and they've raised you and done all of the hard work that it takes to raise a kid. And here you are now being able to give back. That was a big gift for me from my father. And I just even, it was so strange even when he passed away. I mean, his caretakers would call me and say, your dad has X, Y, and Z going on. How do we patch? And I love that because he would say, to call Suzanne, Susie. I was his, Susie, but he'd call Susie and ask ask her what I need to be doing. And that man never got COVID, and he was around dozens of caretakers that came in with COVID. And he wore the X39 every day. He wore the X49 pretty regularly because he had heart issues. So the X49 is for cardiovascular and for, heart health. And he also saved his eyesight, from wearing the patches in a mask because he had macular degenerative symptoms. And we talk again about symptom relief here. We're not trying to, we're not curing anything, and we're certainly not in a position, we're not doctors, but that's the beauty of David Schmidt and his ingenuity with creating these patches. You don't need all of that if you're using it regularly and you know how to patch. And again, we have an amazing team that is patch experts. Julian and Nikki were the patch queens. And I remember John Chang saying, you need to call the patch queens. And I remember being a little intimidated. I'm like, who are these patch queens? But as soon as I connected with both of them, they're just heart-centered people. And all they really want to do is help you and prevent pain. And a lot of us were in pain, whether it was emotional pain. I had a skin rash. I couldn't clear off my face, so I was emotional wreck. You have back pain, you have knee pain, whatever it is, that pain, it resonates and it ruins your life. And I just am floored how many people don't know about LifeWave. And so that's why we're doing the work we are. We want people to know, if this is something that you're watching this in the recording and or you are a regular with me, share these videos so that people can see firsthand from real life people what we've done for our families. That in
And
itself.
it's not just pain because I didn't, as mentioned, I came in because Tyler had back pain.
Yeah, yeah,
When you have kids, they're your world. And especially playing collegiate, you want to make sure that nothing, no substance go into their body at all.
right,
Because they can get pulled for drug tests at any time. And you so have to be careful and that they don't get tested for something that you're not aware what you're putting in their body.
right, right.
And when we met David, I asked him in that room, I said, so this is no drugs. It's safe for him to play collegiate? And he said, nope, no drugs. We got a letter from USADA, Olympic Committee, that certified that there's no drug enter our body. And that kind of put a seal into the icing, whatever you call it. That's like, okay, this is it. This is going to be the product for our family. But it's back to that. I start using the patches. I don't have anything wrong with me. It's yeah, everybody has some stress here and there, and then I just dealt with the stress as part of your regular day-to-day basis when you run business, right? It's like who doesn't wake up with stress, dealing with business stress and everything else. And I did not realize Eon was my favorite patch. That was the patch that I started with.
Uh-huh.
I didn't realize what the patch was doing. I just trust David. I just read. I listened to the testimonial. I said, that's a patch I'm going to use.
Mhm.
And until like months later, and then energy enhancer because I work long hours. Until months later, when I looked back, just like John asked you about your hairs, I
Mhm.
looked back and said, oh my God, you know, I was able to outperform my younger staff by hours. I didn't get tired. I didn't have that 3 o'clock slump anymore. I didn't have to run. I'm not a caffeine person, but when I'm busy, I needed that 5 o'clock caffeine run, coffee run, just so I can stay up until midnight and finish my work. Um,
Yeah.
and I suddenly realized that I didn't have that 3 o'clock slump, nor did I have to run out and get my coffee. And
Mhm.
that's when
Mhm.
I was like, this thing really worked. And then I wasn't stressed. The boys noticed that mommy wasn't as stressed or yelling at them for everything. And I snap at them one time. They go, Mom, Do you
With
have
her
the patch
patch.
on? Exactly. It's like, oh yeah. And they just laugh. And so, people don't always feel right away.
Mhm.
But just like you said, it working from the inside. And until you kind of pay attention
Yeah.
to what change, it can be like really, really minor change. But this changes. I mean, age reversal. Now I'm passing for age reversal. I was
Yeah.
like, hey, I want to be the youngest grandma when they're ready because I'm
Yeah.
not pushing them to get married or have any kids anytime soon. And
Right.
sure,
Right.
definitely age-wise, I'm not getting any younger, but I still want to be the youngest grandma running them to Disneyland or whatever it is. And
Well, I've seen you in your little skirts and your clothes, and you're pushing 60 and you look fantastic. So I do agree with you that those of us who have that kind of youthful energy to begin with, this only enhances it even more. And what people talk to me a lot about, they don't say you look great or your skin's beautiful. They'll say something's different about you and you just exude vitality. Like you just seem vibrant. And it's like, that's what these patches do for me. And you're right on the Eon. I just want to plug the Eon for nervous system support, for better sleep at night, anxiety, depression. It just breaks my heart to hear. We just had another shooting, mass shooting in Minnesota. You see these young people, they're really struggling in their ability to with their health, with their mental health. And I just keep saying it starts with our food, it starts with what we're putting in our bodies, but just think of how these patches can really help calm the nervous system because I love the Eon as well and learn to use it in conjunction with the X39 when people are in pain because the X39 is getting to work. It's getting in there doing the cell help. It's the cellular level of reversing chronic issues and the Eon is inflammation busting. And
yeah,
so you can use that in combination. And then Jane, I just noticed here peeking out of my a collarbone here was the glutathione, which I learned from you wearing that. I think it was in the first conference that I went to. We were all together, and you were wearing it there. And you're very confident. You're confident. You're very steady, steadfast, and you always had that on. And
when I'm out and about, I always have glutathione on that
I
load.
do too, and I've learned from you. And then, ironically, I was in Texas visiting my dad, and I went to a local chiropractor there. I wanted him to join me with Lifewave. I went there to get adjusted, but I was like, okay, my ulterior motive is to introduce him to Lifewave. And I had the patches on. I walk in the door, and he goes, "Oh, I see you're wearing Lifewave patches." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah. You want to know about him?" And he says, I've been on them through the entire pandemic. So this was probably 22, 23 that I was visiting dad at that point, and I was introducing the patches to everybody. And he basically said he had been wearing the patches every day. He'd wear glutathione on his neck, which, by the way, is our master antioxidant for all of our cells. So that's why, again, David knew what he was doing when he created a glutathione patch there. And then he put carnosine between the breastbone and between the breast. And he said those two things, he worked in Texas. They didn't really have a lot of lockdowns. He was able to work and keep his business alive, and which was a great thing. That's what was so wonderful about some of the states. They weren't locking people down, losing their businesses and customers. And he wore that. He never got COVID. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to put one between my breasts now. And I do that like we're going on a trip tomorrow. I'll be on the airplane. And I wear my X's, belly and neck to cover those areas on the spine and the stomach. And then I put the, glutathione and the carnosine on. And I always feel protected, Jane. It's like a level of confidence. You don't have to worry about getting sick. And even if you do, you've got all these patches to help speed you through it much faster.
I
And
know. Do I have wood here? I don't remember the last time I got sick.
knock on wood, and I did get sick. If you watched my interview last week, I did a talk about my cleanse in Hawaii, and it was a colon and liver cleanse. And the woman that I had to share a house with, we were sharing food and sharing, my car and all of that. She brought in a bug. And so I ended up catching it. I had a little scratchy throat on Sunday. I was like, oh no. So immediately I'm doing all of my detox protocols, but I'm putting the patches on all over me, the head, anywhere that I slept with them. And yes, one day I just had to sleep and rest, but then I was fine that within, 24 hours I was fine. And I attest it to carrying these. I mean, I have these everywhere. I've got like in my purse. I carry them, extras in the suitcase, which I'm traveling on. Just, it's a peace of mind. I can't explain, but I don't worry about traveling anymore. And I don't worry about if I catch anything, I know that I can move it out quickly.
Just like MX said, don't leave home without it. We don't leave home without it.
American Express. Yes, we do not leave home without it. And we certainly, wear them and show people so much about, the power of these and how and just by walking the talk. I think that's the most important part is that so many of us that use the patches, we have that level of confidence and we also feel great. And I think those are the things that are critical. And Jane was talking again about overusing pain medications. They're not benign. And even while I was, watching, I'm around people that pop the medications all the time, and it's heartbreaking. And so that's, again, the power of the patches, the power of David Schmidt. And on that note, we probably should start wrapping things up because we could talk forever. We've got more trainings coming up after this. But Jane, I really enjoyed chatting with you. I'm not kidding. I would love to have you and Julian on and do something fun together and really talk a little bit. Maybe we haven't seen her in so long. I really miss her. And maybe we could do something fun with having to do with the shoes again. I thought that was such an enjoyable conversation. And people still wear their heels. You do. Do you still wear your heels?
We have heels.
Yeah, so I think it's important to be able to do that and not have to worry about it. But thank you so much for coming on, and I look forward to more conversations. You've got something you want to share. You know that I'm an open forum here. You're welcome to come back on and see me, but I enjoyed having you, and you do look vibrant, and I'm so happy to hear about your son. I'm actually leaving for New York tomorrow. I'm going to visit my son, who he and his girlfriend are golfers, and I want them to watch this video because, again, your son's still playing, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. They have their routine of how they patch because of the sweat. They actually patch inside their hat.
Okay, that's a good. Why don't we just, tell me a minute what
All
they do.
right,
So
just real quickly. So when I was with David back in San Diego, I asked him. He said, "Here, he's a golfer. What you recommend?" So we had inside the hat, the brim, not the brim, the inside, the band
yeah,
has energy enhancer, of course, the left and tan on left and white on right, and then carnosine right in the middle. So he wears a hat right here. So it's a band of patches that is right here. And of course, now we put X39 behind the back of the neck because the neck
okay.
doesn't really fall off that much. But that's just every time he golf, those are the patches, the
And you
routine.
can, and he could put that, you can see Jane mentioned you can put that on the cap. You can put these on clothing.
Right.
My dad was wearing them inside of a mask. We would put Eon and glutathione or carnosine. I think it was carnosine and glutathione we were using mostly. And you'd put those on the inside of his eye mask, and he would wear them at nighttime and it didn't even have to touch his eyes. But
Yeah.
that helps so much for the symptom relief. Okay. And then but the back pain is gone.
The back pain's gone. I mean, if there's any flare up, then we just use Eon and right ice wave right on the spot.
Yeah, okay. But it's interesting that carnosine was the thing that actually sold you on the fact that it helped him with the pain, because
Because it
that's
was
an
muscle related.
unusual one.
Well, because it was muscle related, golf.
Yeah, yeah,
So it
yeah.
makes sense because it worked on a muscle.
Yeah, that's great to know. Well, I'm sure, and does your other son wear them?
Yeah, not as much. That one is a little bit more stubborn, but he doesn't go through the same routine. Uh, but he does wear X39 every time he golf.
Good. Well, that's the important part because he's reversing age and then all of the benefits in helping their stem cells. Their stem cells are still active at their
Yeah.
age, and you're just getting that powerful punch of using them even more. So we do love the fact that there is the beauty of the age reversal and slowing the test of time and then also just, the confidence that we just talked about. All right, dear. Well, so good to talk to you. Thank you for your beautiful share. And I'm so glad that I got to hear more about your story with Lifewave and look forward to seeing you guys all again. I'll be here one more time next week and then I'm taking off again for a trip, but I'll share that when I see you guys next Thursday. And again, please follow me on my YouTube channel, Suzanne Roth-Paul Lifewave. Like it while you're there and please do share it. That way we're going to reach more people. And if you want to know more about anything that I've shared today, I will have the recording up within 24 hours and you can see all the information, especially about that what did I say the name was? Red Hawk. They've changed the name. It was Contact Organic. Firehawk Bio Herbicide. I'll make sure the details are in there for you. Thank you everybody for being here and look forward to seeing you next week. Bye now.